These are false cognates or false friends in Spanish that you should never say. Actualmente. Be careful because I see it all the time with students. Instead of saying actually, what you're really saying when you say actualmente means currently. So if you want to say something like actually or in fact, use the phrase de hecho, literally translating to of fact. So actualmente means currently, whereas de hecho means actually or in fact. Número dos, americano. Do not say americano. It's better to say estadounidense. I know that's a longer word to say American, but here's the thing. When you say soy americano to someone from Mexico, let's say, they're going to say, okay, yo también soy americano. Of course, they understand what you're trying to say, but when you say americano, technically you could be talking about someone from anywhere within the Americas. So they could be from Ecuador or Mexico or the United States or Canada, okay? So better to say estadounidense, meaning that you come from the United States of America. My girlfriend, who is Mexican, she's a native Spanish speaker, says to me, Nathan, what do you, as an American, call yourself? Do you call yourself, a United States of American, or what do you call yourself? Because saying American in Spanish doesn't really sound correct because you could be talking about someone from anywhere in the Americas. And I told her, honestly, we just call ourselves Americans. So if you're American, this can be a little bit confusing, but it's better to say estadounidense. Gringo also works, but it does sound a little bit more rude. Okay, this is the best term, estadounidense. Okay? Número tres, bravo. Okay? Bravo means fierce. Okay? So, ese perro es bien bravo. That dog is very fierce. Okay? What you're really trying to say here is valiente. Okay? So, bravo is not brave, it is valiente. Okay? Valiente is brave, whereas bravo is fierce. Okay? Now, this is really interesting, and I added actually a bunch of different states behind me, which we're going to take a look at in a second. But did you know that the state, Texas or Texas, actually, from my understanding, comes from the Spanish word tejas, meaning roof shingles. The word Texas might also have another origin, but I was told by a Mexican Spanish speaker that it actually comes from the word tejas, meaning roof shingles. Now, get this. The other states like Colorado, Nevada, Florida, and Montana all come from Spanish. Colorado meaning red color. So that's why in Colorado, there's that kind of red colored earth. Because literally in Spanish, Colorado means red colored. Nevada means snowfall. Okay, pretty interesting. Florida, land of the flowers. Remember that flor in Spanish means flower and flores means flowers. And how about Montana, coming from the word montaña, meaning mountain. Pretty cool, right? In fact, a lot of the United States used to be Mexico, okay, before the Mexican-American War. Very interesting. Definitely look up your American history. It is very interesting to know about that, okay? Número 6, constipado. If you are constipado, then you are stuffed up. You're congested. Whereas if you're trying to say that you're constipated, you would say estreñido. Okay, so constipado, you're stuffed up, whereas estreñido is you are constipated. Okay? Embarazada, this is a very common one. So if you're a female and you want to say, I'm embarrassed, don't say, estoy embarazada, because that sounds like you're saying, I am pregnant. What you're really trying to say is, estoy avergonzada, I am embarrassed. Now, an interesting thing to note here is that we also have the word in Spanish, embarazoso. Embarazoso does mean embarrassing. So it's very similar to this word right here. One is embarazada and the other is embarazoso. Tricky, but try to remember avergonzada. If you're a male, you would say estoy avergonzado. You could also just say que vergüenza, meaning how embarrassing. Okay? We have more words after these, so make sure to stick around until the end of this video. Número 8, excitar. Be very careful with this one. This does not mean to excite. This means to excite sexually. But what you're trying to say here is to be excited about something, which could be entusiasmar or emocionar. Personally, I use emocionar more. So do not say excitar, say emocionar. Let's take a look at more words. Número 9, fábrica. Fábrica does not mean fabric. Tela would mean fabric. Fábrica is a factory. So, for example, en la fábrica producen tela. So, in the factory, they produce fabric. Fábrica, factory, tela, fabric. What about idioma? Idioma does not mean idiom. This means language. You can also use the word lengua, literally translating to tongue. So I could say tacos de lengua, which mean tongue tacos, or I could say hablo tres lenguas. I speak 3 languages or 3 tongues. However, it's more common to hear the word idioma, meaning language. If you want to say idiom, you would say modismo. Okay, so mejor un pájaro en la mano que 100 volando. It's better to have 1 bird in hand than 100 flying. That would be a modismo, a saying or an idiom. Okay, that basically just means be grateful for what you have. So, número 11, largo. I see students confuse this one all the time. This means long. It does not mean large. Grande would mean large. So if we're talking about different sizes, let's say we're talking about drink sizes, you would have chico, at least here in Mexico, we would say chico, mediano, and grande. Do not say largo. Largo means long, grande, large. Número 12, letra. Okay, es una palabra interesante. Letra does not mean letter, okay, with regards to a letter that you write. Now, this does mean letter as in the sense of the letter of the alphabet. So, A es una letra del abecedario, for example. So, A is a letra, okay? However, letra most commonly means lyrics, okay? So, me gusta la letra de esta canción. I like the lyrics of this song. Notice how it's singular, right? You don't need to say las letras. You just say la letra. If you want to say a letter that you write to someone, you would say carta. So, por ejemplo, me mandó una carta. He sent me a card. Letra, letter of the alphabet or song lyrics, and carta meaning card. Okay? Número 13, mayor. Mayor means older. Okay? Alcalde would be mayor. Okay, so mayor is alcalde. So él es el alcalde de la ciudad. He is the mayor of the city. Whereas mayor means older. Okay, ella es mayor que yo. She is older than me. Okay, número 14. Parientes. Not to be confused with padres. Okay, so parientes are relatives. They are not your parents. They are your relatives. Padres would be your parents. You can also say papás. Okay, don't say papas because that means potatoes. So we have papás, parents, papas, potatoes. Be careful. Okay. Número 15, quitar. Okay, quitar does not mean to quit. Renunciar would be to quit a job. Okay, quitar means to take something off or to get rid of something. Okay, so quita eso. Get rid of that or take that off. Whereas renunciar would be to quit. Okay? Yo renuncio. I quit. Okay? Número 16. Realizar. This does not mean to realize. Now, you could translate this as to realize in English. However, what this means is to realize a project, to complete a project, to carry something out, to finish something. Okay? So, realizamos el proyecto anoche. We finished the project last night, or we completed it. We carried it out. If you want to say that you realized something, you would use the phrase darse cuenta de, okay? To literally give account of something, okay? Me di cuenta de que él me mintió. I realized that he had lied to me, okay? Darse cuenta de. This is a big phrase, but it is used quite commonly. Another fun fact for you, the verb saber, meaning to know and can also mean to taste, can also mean to find out when used in the preterite tense. So, for example, I could say, yo supe que él mintió. Okay? I found out that he lied. Okay? So you could also use darse cuenta de, but saber in the preterite can also take on the translation of to find something out. All right, let's come on to this side of the whiteboard. Oh, also, I forgot to mention, if you're interested in learning fluent Spanish with me, click the link in the video description. You can check out our Fluent Spanish Speaker Academy. We have more than 300 members. It is seriously awesome. Our goal is to help you have a 10-minute conversation in 90 days without feeling confident. So check that out by clicking the link in the video description. Okay, final words. Sin, meaning without. This does not mean a sin. Pecado is a sin, okay? Whereas sin means without. And honestly, this word is used all the time. So let's say you order some enchiladas and they say con todo, and you say sin crema, por favor. No cream, please. And they say, muy bien, me parece bien. Okay, so sin meaning without, pecado meaning sin. Okay, sopa does not mean soap, it means soup. Okay, me encantó la sopa. I loved the soup. If you want to say soap, you would use the word jabón. Okay, jabón. Soap. Okay, and finally, número 19, vaso. Vaso means glass or cup. Okay, it does not mean vase. Florero is a vase. Okay, so vaso for a drink, a cup, and florero, a vase. Bueno, muchas gracias por ver este video. Like I said, check out our Fluent Spanish Speaker Academy by clicking the link in the description. I hope you've learned something new. Feel free to leave a comment down below if there are words that you used to confuse in the past. For example, I used to always mix up cebolla and caballo, onion and horse. I don't know why, I could never figure that one out. So let me know in the comments down below. And like I said, click the link in the video description if you'd like to learn more Spanish with me. Muchas gracias y que tengas buen día. Hasta luego.